Welcome to the Sage Solutions podcast, where we talk about all things personal growth, personal development, and becoming your best self. My name is David Sage, and I am a self-worth and confidence coach with Sage Coaching Solutions. This episode is part 2 of our 2024 highlights. This is a collection of some of the best clips and some of my personal favorite parts of each of the different episodes that we did in our first year of being a podcast in 2024. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this stroll down memory lane if you've been with us since the beginning. And if not, feel free to go back to part 1 and watch this one right after as sort of a quick catch-up for the new year.
David is a self-worth and confidence coach who is passionate about lifelong learning, continuous growth, and making a positive impact through empowering others. He started his own business, Sage Coaching Solutions, where he coaches clients one-on-one, both in person and virtually. But what makes my brother truly worth listening to? Beyond the thousands of hours that he has devoted to his own personal development, including reading over 500 personal growth and development books, researching hundreds of scientific studies, attending numerous seminars on leadership and self-improvement, and all of the insight he has gained through reflections of his own personal experiences, therapy, and the experiences of his clients, David brings an informed and valuable perspective to the wide range of topics on this podcast. His approach is shaped by his degree in culinary management and the experience of working in a variety of fields, including culinary, law, management, fine dining, service, travel, sales and marketing, public speaking, contract negotiations, and leadership development. We're also both very lucky to have learned from our mom and dad's widely different perspectives and experience, which contribute to David's well-rounded and unique outlook. Our mom was a school psychologist who is now a director of student services. She specializes in and has trained educators on relevant topics such as mindfulness, trauma, and de-escalation techniques in high-stress situations. Our father was an accountant and is now recognized as one of the best elder law attorneys in the state. He serves as a partner at a law firm, and on top of his incredible work ethic, is a logical, strategic thinker who has taught us the value of crafting sound arguments. David is an amazing brother, husband, person, and friend. He has empowered me to strive towards becoming the best version of myself. And I have no doubt that listening to these podcasts will help you do the same.
Thanks, Anna. Means a lot. I'm excited to be on this journey with you, and I'm excited to be doing this with you. And I think you'll bring a lot to the table for this podcast. And once you've found your anchor, you can use these few steps to shift your perspective. The first step is just finding awareness in your perspective. It's practicing, noticing when your perspective is unhelpful. Taking a deep breath, using that anchor, then acknowledging where you're at, bringing yourself to the present, giving yourself compassion, not beating yourself up, but understanding how you got to that perspective. Giving yourself a moment to feel any emotions you may need to feel, because suppressing your emotions is just going to make it worse. And then once you get yourself to that place, then you need to bring it back to taking your agency and saying, you know what? I have control, and I'm going to shift my perspective because I have agency here, and I'm going to take it. And then thinking about what would be helpful and doing it. Challenge your own beliefs. One of the most powerful things you can do is regularly question your own assumptions. Rethinking or thinking again. Ask yourself, what if I'm wrong? And what other perspectives should I consider? This keeps your thinking flexible and open to growth. Contrary to popular belief, children who rethink their test answers instead of just going with their gut score higher on multiple choice test assessments. Just because you rethink something doesn't mean you have to change your mind. You might have been right the whole time. But the simple act of rethinking does give you a bit more of that certainty. In fact, curiosity is like embracing both uncertainty and certainty at the same time. And so is critical thinking in a way. It's all about being open to the discomfort of not knowing things and the variety of the world while trying to gain some more certainty or clarity about how it works. So remember, let confusion create curiosity, and if you find out you were wrong after rethinking, that's great. You just learned something. Sleep is an often underestimated yet crucial aspect of personal development. It's not just about rest. It's about recovery, growth, and optimization. Whether you're looking to improve your cognitive function, emotional health, physical well-being, or overall productivity, sleep is the foundation on which it is all built. As Dr. Matthew Walker puts it, sleep is the most powerful tool we have for improving every aspect of our lives. So if you want to level up your life, invest in better sleep, prioritize it, optimize it, and watch how it transforms your health, your work, and your personal growth. In simple terms, vulnerability is showing up as your true, authentic self, even when it feels risky or uncomfortable. It's about being emotionally honest and real with yourself and others. But here's the thing. It's a common misconception that vulnerability means that you have to spill all of your secrets or share everything about your life. It's not about putting yourself out there just to get attention or sympathy. Instead, it's about allowing yourself to be seen, to be real, to be you, even when there's uncertainty. All right, so I'm going to share a secret with you. One that completely changed my perspective when I realized it. Vulnerability is not weakness. Vulnerability is strength. It takes real strength to be vulnerable. It's easy to hide behind walls or put on a mask. But when we choose to be vulnerable, we're choosing courage. Going into these holidays, you don't have to be so militant about this that you don't allow yourself to enjoy the actual holidays. Discipline is great. Consistency is king. But that doesn't mean that you can't enjoy yourself on holidays like everyone else, or that you have to not have any indulgence or happiness. The actual days of the holidays are a great time to relax, to let off some steam, and to give yourself a break. Not to beat yourself up and make yourself feel guilty for doing what everyone else is doing. You don't have to be perfect to be great. Let yourself feel some pride. Be proud of yourself when you accomplish things. That's a strong emotion, and it can help motivate you to keep doing that in the future so that you continue to feel that. Just don't let it get out of control. So in order to summarize, the main steps of how to keep your motivation, your routine, and your habits during the holiday season, when it's the easiest to lose them, is make sure that your habits are well-formed habits, which means they need a cue, a craving, a response, and then a reward. This creates the loop of a habit so that it continues to self-fulfill until it becomes a well-formed and automatic habit. Stringing together different habits is building a routine, and then use discipline to put off or delay your gratification so that you can keep up this routine and these habits. By harnessing a motivation, not feeling motivated, but harnessing something that motivates you by starting with why you're doing it and building the muscle of discipline over time. But inevitably, no matter who you are, you're not perfect. We're all human. And there are going to be times where we drop the ball, where we get a little off track. The best thing we can do when we get off track is to use some shades of gray thinking and remember that it's not all or nothing. We can be winning the mass majority of the time and still be winning the war. We don't have to win every battle to win the war. Also, give yourself some self-compassion. Hannah, I know you were quite successful in the culinary industry, and that can be an incredibly demanding and time-consuming endeavor.
Yeah, it's very mentally, emotionally, and physically demanding. And anxiety is something that I ran on for years. Quite a bit, actually. Anxiety was what got me through my day, every day, 6 days a week. So it can be a superpower because I feel like when I had to jump on the line to help out my staff when we're really busy, I was able to channel that anxiety to get things done, get things moving, be very productive. But it can also be a downside.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that, Hannah. In the education field, I feel like anxiety drove me through most of my days because I was very anxious about wanting to make sure all of my kids were okay and they were learning and they were improving. And I guess it worked for quite a while because I would say I don't know, it feels weird complimenting myself, but I feel like I was a very effective teacher when I was in the classroom. I got a lot of great feedback from parents, supervisors, kids, things like that. But eventually, because I was running on anxiety, I burnt out and I couldn't do it anymore.
That's what happened to me too. I got to a point where the burnout is real. Like, you're running on those anxiety fumes almost as much as you possibly can, and eventually it catches up to you and you realize, like, this isn't a way I want to live my life. But just being available to listen, people don't realize how incredibly helpful that is. Because I'm 7 years out from my dad dying, and I still want to talk about him. It's weird at family functions when no one brings him up, or at holidays when we don't talk about the traditions that we lost with him. And like I said, I think it's just because it is an uncomfortable thing. And a lot of people have assumed that with time, you've kind of removed yourself from it. But for the grieving person, it is forever there. You will always be grieving. However, what my therapist says is that grief comes in waves. So there's going to be times where the sea of grief is rocky and the waves come crashing and it's hard to catch a breath. But there's also going to be times where the sea is calm, where maybe it's not going to be this big, pivotal, extreme thing that's going on in your life. And being able to ride those waves, I think, is the only way to process your grief and to give yourself the permission to grieve.
So how do we navigate the social aspect of the holidays in the best way that we can? Today, you're going to learn how to win family and deal with difficult people. When we take a mindful approach to the holidays and make sure that we are taking time to be just present and in the moment, we'll first approach them with curiosity and non-judgment. When you listen actively, when you make people feel heard, when you're there and present with them, making eye contact, affirming that you heard them, asking follow-up questions to understand them better, all of this makes people feel valued. And it also helps you become genuinely interested in other people. When you find out how to extract the passion out of a conversation, no matter what the topic is, if the person is passionate about it, you'll find that topic can become interesting. Because it doesn't have to be the topic that's interesting. It can be the person. So, while we're being a good listener, we should be encouraging others to talk about themselves. And when we're talking, if we try and talk in terms of the other people's interests, in addition to our own passions. This is just going to make them want to have more conversations with you, and you're going to learn so much more about them, which in turn will make them like you better, and you will tend to like them better. Let's avoid the roadblock of criticizing, condemning, or complaining. People don't like to hear this stuff. We only have control over ourselves, but we are in situations where we may have to deal with difficult people. So how do we do that? Our primary strategies here are going to be using our conscious perspective to shift focus and to keep ourselves on track, and to use our locus of control to let go of the things that we can't deal with. When somebody is trying to pick an argument with you, or trying to pick a fight or cause a problem with you, picture a game of tug-of-war, and you're both pulling on the rope. What happens when you let go of that rope? What happens when you don't engage? The other person falls. They don't know what to do. They're looking for a reaction. Don't give them that reaction. Let go of the rope. They don't hold power over you. You do. And this is where Mel Robbins talks about let them. Just let them do what they're going to do. I'm not saying blatantly ignore them, but you don't have control over them. If they want to make a mistake, if they want to do something, if you don't like what they're doing, it's not your job. Let them. Now, if they're going to blatantly attack you, I'm not saying you should just let them. This is where it's important to set a boundary in a respectful manner. These expectations are setting us up for disappointment because no one can meet the perfect standard of holiday happiness, and no one can do everything flawlessly. Perfection isn't possible. So when things don't go as planned, or when we fall short of our own expectations, it can lead to feelings of frustration, guilt, burnout, and even shame.
My biggest takeaway from this episode is that setting expectations is not very helpful. Rather than setting positive or very negative expectations for what's to come, it's more helpful to approach with an open mind, curiosity, hope, and intentions for how I'm going to approach what's coming ahead.
Reflections, intentions, and New Year's resolutions. As this year draws to a close, it's natural to start thinking about what you want to achieve in the next 12 months. But before we rush into goal setting, we need to take a moment to reflect. If you're going to plot a course on your GPS in a car, no matter what the GPS app you have is, if you don't give it a location to start from, if you don't know where you are, it won't tell you where to go. First, before we make any resolutions, before we make any plans, we have to stop, pull over, and figure out where we are. And we just went through a whole year, a year that we are forgetting tons of things about. The good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful, the grateful. And this is why it's so important to reflect and figure out where we are. Consistency is king, but perseverance is power. If you get off track, pull over, and just like a GPS, recalculate. New simple steps. Keep going. You only lose if you give up. If you never give up, you will not be in that statistic. You may not have achieved it yet, but you are still moving forward. You've got this. Start with why, and remind yourself why you're doing this. Reduce the friction. Take all of the things that are going to make this harder to do out of the way. And if you do screw up, don't shame yourself. We know that shame is a terrible long-term motivator. Give yourself some self-compassion. So to wrap up, setting meaningful New Year's resolutions requires reflection on the past year, setting clear intentions, asking yourself good questions, and being mindful of the common mistakes like unrealistic expectations and black and white thinking. And there it is. I hope you enjoyed part 2 of our highlights of 2024. I really enjoyed curating these moments from all the different episodes that we did in our first year as a podcast. And I'm so proud of what the Sage Solutions podcast has accomplished. We'll see you next week on Tuesday and every Tuesday after that. Thank you for listening to the Sage Solutions podcast. Your time is valuable, and I'm so glad you choose to learn and grow here with me. We'd love to hear your feedback, so click the link in the description and let us know what you think. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on more sage advice. One last thing. The legal language. This podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. No coaching-client relationship is formed. It is not intended as a substitute for the personalized advice of a physician, professional coach, psychotherapist, or other qualified professional.